From a galaxy far, far away, there was 4 men who created a podcast. Why? Who the hell knows? But it was called the Four Guys Roundtable Show. And one of them is from the dark side. And one of them is going through training currently. But before we get to that, we have our hosts that are always with us, Coach Jeremy and AJ Nitro. Hello, gentlemen. But now, I have some unfinished business with someone on this podcast. I have finished my Jedi training.
Oh my gosh.
And I now challenge Darth Path to the fate of duels. Do you accept my challenge, Darth Path?
Welcome, young Skywalker. I'm looking forward to completing your training. Now, you will learn to call me Master. Okay, hi. How's everybody doing today? We're going to have a great show, and I gotta say, I'm a little threatened by that there lightsaber, so I think you're gonna have to put that away.
Well, earlier today, I almost cut my hand off, so it was a little tragic in my lightsaber training. So,
Oh my lord!
You to be careful with them there lightsabers.
Yeah, I know, but it just kind of, I was doing a twirly thing on my bobber, and it just kind of slipped and almost like slipped my wrist off, and I would have been like, had to get a robotic one, and I have one of those 3D machines, but I don't know if it would have looked right, so I would have had to put a glove on it and stuff, but.
Well, I got to tell you, I hate to say this, but, them robotic hands, they ain't quite as reliable as you would think they would. Because if you ever look at them, they seem to deteriorate over time. Like, you might get one that's got like the full like skin on it at some point, but then like about 30 years later, you look and it's like, oh, it's just all back to being a robot hand. And, that's just not attractive. That's just not going to get the ladies to, pay attention to you.
That's why I got to wear the glove. Other people made the glove famous, so I think I can make the glove famous.
Would that be a love glove?
Well, it all depends how you be looking at it.
So long as you can get away with, rocking that glove, because I got to be honest with you here, and I think our other two co-hosts will back me up on this. Just not everybody can make the single glove look work.
I think I can do it. So if you guys haven't guessed, today's episode is going to be about Star Wars, specifically the Star Wars prequels.
Oh my lord.
Very disturbing. I will now turn the light on.
I was not sure what we were talking about because we suddenly went full-blown like
West Virginia hillbilly.
Well, I guess what you could basically say is that Theo and I are we're using this podcast as a dry run for our two-man variety show, which has not yet come up with a clever enough name, and it's too late in the day as we're recording this for me to come up with one off the top of my head, so I won't even try.
At least they didn't start talking about incest or anything.
To be determined.
Yeah, I think if we would have let it go another 5 minutes, we might have got there.
Yes.
It would have went somewhere, but who knows?
That's not my personal favorite topic, so yeah.
I'm just taking my sweatshirt off, people. I have a shirt on underneath. Don't worry.
Damn. Just a sec. I got to do that better. I got to do it the Ron Simmons way. Just a second. Damn.
That was very good. That was very good.
Are you having some trouble there? I feel like Joe's like Nia Jax with the referee the other night.
I of course always preferred the Ron Simmons damn the way that Charlie Haas did it.
Oh yeah? And how was that?
Well, if I recall, it was damn, diggity, damn.
That is correct.
Oh man. So that was an interesting open tour.
Theo's got a Star Wars shirt on too. Yay!
Yeah, you know what? I couldn't find my other Star Wars shirt. I was very disappointed in myself. I have 2 of them, and I have no idea where my second one went. I only have the one that I wore for our last Star Wars podcast, so I didn't want to reuse the same shirt, though I'm sure it would have been fine. I just didn't want to do that. So, but I do like Joe's their lightsaber, and the fact that it's green, and you can tell it's green when it's dark. Kind of look blue there, but that's kind of cool. So I want to, as we always do before we actually get into our podcast, we like to share a nice story. So I'm going to kick us off with a nice story. And Darth Pat, do you have a story you'd like to share?
I do, but you go first.
Okay. So we're going to go back to when AJ lived in Pennsylvania.
Oh, fuck.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we're going way back. And to a time when we decided to do a scavenger hunt.
Oh!
And
we're going to tell that story.
Yes, and Darth Pat, I don't think you joined us for the scavenger hunt.
He did not participate.
I think you joined us back at the house later, but you didn't go on the scavenger hunt.
Yeah, I was going to say it sounds familiar, but only from a hey, you didn't do this with us aspect. So
the dare game. That's what it was called, the dare game.
Yeah, I didn't.
So we did quite a few years ago. I mean, you're talking when AJ was still living in Pennsylvania, so that was what, almost 10 years ago now. Somewhere close to that.
We did that in like 2008 or 2009.
Okay, so about 11 years ago, somewhere in there, 11, 12 years ago. Yeah. So we were quite a bit younger, so I was right around 30, so yeah, that's quite a few years ago. But AJ came up with this nice little, I like to call it a scavenger hunt. He called it the Dare game.
It was from One Tree Hill. It was from a TV show. I had seen it on there.
So every team was given a list. We broke into teams of about, 3 or 4 people, something like that. Everybody was given a list. It was the same list, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was me. It was me, you, and Theo, and then Adam and Brett were on the other team. Sean was supposed to be on their team, but he got sick.
Ah, yes. So we had quite a few things to do in order to complete our task, and whoever came up with the highest score of doing the task was the winning team. And, we could have gotten in quite a bit of trouble for that because of the dumb shit that we were doing that day. But I must say, it was really, really fun. So just to give you guys an idea, one of the things that we had to do was steal a standee from the local movie theater.
Sorry, Regal on 248, but we got your standees.
So we go into the Regal on 248 in Pennsylvania, and we're just kind of hanging out. We all got our hoodies on so nobody can see our faces, you know.
It was fucking obvious.
It wasn't obvious that we were not there to see a movie, but that was when you used to go inside and get your movie tickets.
We were overstaying our welcome in the lobby.
Yes. And all of a sudden, we grabbed what was the standee? Do you remember?
Blood Rain. Movie Blood Rain.
Yes. So it was
right by the door.
And I suddenly said, "Move! Run!" And I grabbed the standee, and we all booked it out the doors, and saw as we're running one of the ushers or whomever it was start to try and chase us. But even though we were much older than him, we were still faster than him. And our good friend Theo's wife was our getaway driver. So as soon as we got done hiding, we knew it was safe to come out. We jumped in the car and then ran off to our next thing. And our good friend Theo, we were getting a little frustrated. It was getting late in the night, and we needed to grab a
banner.
Yes, that was what I was looking for, a banner. And so Theo, we stopped outside this new
apartment complex.
Yeah,
Jesus, will you let him finish his sentence? God.
So it was an apartment complex. I thought it was a New Models Homes, but anyways, that's my memory not serving me well. And he just says, "Fuck it, pull over." He jumps out, cuts this fucking banner down, and throws it in the car. And those banners are not cheap. That's probably like a $300 banner. Stole it right off the thing. But the creme de la creme feat that we did that day. And I wish I could really say I did this, but I have to fess up and say I really didn't do it. I did pull my pants down to do the act because my ass is in the picture. But we snuck onto a golf course after hours, and it was a private golf course. It wasn't like a public golf course. It was a private golf course. And got onto one of the holes because one of the dares was to take a dump in the hole at the golf course. Needless to say, I cannot shit on command, and I don't think that would have been a good idea because we didn't bring any toilet paper, so I would have had shit in my underwear too. So I'm kind of glad I couldn't shit on command. And we took that picture. So technically, even though we say we won, we didn't really win, but that's okay. It was for the fun of it, and like I said, I really did take down my pants, but just to kind of tell you how dumb and crazy we are, and we did do that dare stuff and could have got ourselves in a lot of trouble, but it was a lot of fun. And it's one of those memories that I will always have for the rest of my life, driving around in a car and trying to make sure we didn't get in trouble and, have a lot of fun,
I also remember when me and Theo, you had to go into a restaurant and you had to take everything off the table that was there when you sat down. So we went into the Red Robin, and when we were leaving, the seasoning fell out of Joe's pants or his pocket, and he's like, shit!
Oopsie. I didn't take that. I don't know how that got there. I picked it up and walked out.
The thing I remember about the movie theater is when we ran by, a bunch of people were like walking in, and they were like, oh, shit!
Yes. It was funny. That guy was chasing us, and I still outran him, and I had a torn ACL, MCL, and meniscus with my knee brace on, and I still outran that young kid.
That's right. I remember. You were fucked up. That's right.
Yes.
When we got the movie standee, we won. It didn't matter what the rest. Like, that was worth like 5 times as many points as anything else on there. The movie standee was the biggest point getter you could get on there. I do remember the one thing that
we got the gnome too, right?
No, we didn't get gnomes. That was the one thing that Adam and Brett got that we didn't, is they got actual lawn gnomes.
What did we steal from that yard that was down the road from the golf course?
It was like a bird bath. It was like an angel-shaped bird bath.
Yes, I scratched the glove compartment of my car when I fucking threw that bad boy into the car.
I had those gnomes for years. Like I had those gnomes for a long time that they took.
Mm-hmm. Didn't that bird bath end up in your backyard?
I don't know. It was an angel-shaped bird bath. I don't think it did.
I just seem to remember a bird bath in the backyard of your house.
I feel like we might have actually went and put that one back.
Yeah, I might be misremembering or getting stuff mixed up.
I don't remember what happened to that bird bath.
I don't know if you guys were with me, but I think that one I took back. It was actually more 2005, 2006, because I was like still married at that point, so it was definitely.
Was it that time?
Yeah, it was. It was before the other stuff happened, so it was probably 05, 06. I'm gonna say.
It was a good time. It was a rush. And, yeah, I mean, when we stole the standee, that was probably the funniest thing, because I remember going back to that theater, because that was like the main theater we went to as a group.
It was.
And being like, man, I hope they don't have freaking security cameras in here, because like, if they do, somebody's gonna get recognized out of our group.
This guy's banned from the movie theater forever.
I mean, I went to that movie theater all the time.
That was fun times.
That was fun. It was. I'm glad you brought that. That was one night. We'll never do it again.
No.
But it's a memory, and it's a story that we can tell.
Yes. Darth Pat, you had a story you would like to share with us also and our viewers.
Yes, I do, because it's a little bit of an intersecting of various worlds of mine, if you will.
Oh, okay.
Oh, shit. He's getting deep on us.
Apparently, everybody's favorite 2020 wrestling heel, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, apparently cut quite the promo.
He sure did.
Okay. Well, I don't know if any of you guys can do this right now, but if you go to Maxwell Jacob Friedman's Twitter page.
Uh-oh.
I don't have Twitter.
Well, it's not about having Twitter. You just have to go to his Twitter page.
Okay. I don't even know if I know how to do that.
Let me see here. I'll get on Twitter real quick. Maxwell Friedman. Okay.
Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
MJF.
Yeah.
Yeah. The top tweet on his Twitter page right now is him responding to a guy who was like asking him for some further like explanation on his promo.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah.
From 2 hours ago here?
Yeah. Do you see it?
Yeah. Shall I read it?
Yes.
Well, first of all, read the tweet that he quotes, and then read his response to it. Yeah.
The tweet that he quotes. Okay. So from Ronald Funches?
No, it's not that one.
Okay.
That it says is from 10 hours ago.
Okay. Because you got to help me out. I'm not sure which one I'm supposed to read here. Jeff Bone?
Jeff Bone, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jeff
Okay,
Bone.
so you want me to read his?
Wonderful, Jeff
Yeah.
Bone.
So you want me to
Just
read
read-
that first and then read the MJF reply?
Oh boy.
Okay. So at the MGF, can you give some explanation as to how Dictator John is responsible for Flippy Wrestling? That's the one part of your campaign message that made no sense to me. Okay. So let me go back to his reply. Okay. So this was his reply. It says flip, flop, fly, and or almost die. It's the car crash style that Dictator John loves. Unfortunately, since he's a world champion, people want to imitate him in the hopes it will help them succeed both in the ring and in winning over the uneducated fans. Educate yourself.
So, I happen to personally know Jeff Bone.
Nice. Fantastic.
He is one of my, as I call it, Yankee blog friends.
Oh, jeez.
He is one of the group of guys who I met a number of years ago through the now defunct Yankees blog River Avenue Blues, and he is one of a group of about 5 or 6 other guys who finally convinced me to join the cesspool that is Facebook. And that was so we could establish our own private group, which we still run to this day, which we call the Royal Order of Veteran Presents. Veteran Presents being a joke because we spell it Presents, as in like Christmas presents, as in like as opposed to presents, as like oh, he's got presents about him.
Yeah.
It's kind of an inside baseball joke from that. Well, like I said, that's why it's an in joke. But anyway, so he a little while ago he posted in our group that MJF quote tweeted him, and he thought it was so cool, and he also thought the best part of it was that MJF didn't really just insult the shit out of him. He just said educate yourself and everything. So I just thought that was pretty funny because, again, I don't use Twitter. I'm not getting into that cesspool. I'll limit my cesspool to Facebook. But for him to be quote tweeted by, and again, like you guys know, I'm not so much into wrestling right now. I'm pretty down on it. MJF is one guy though that I say is worth watching what he does right now, because he is probably the best heel promo anywhere right now. So
he's actually the best promo. If I could pick one guy to see on the mic every week, it's MJF. Like, no questions asked.
So
as much as I like Owens, I'd still take MJF.
And that's one of the things that kind of annoys me about AEW when I do tune in. It's like I do tune in and see episodes where he's not on it in any way, shape, or form, and I'm like, he's clearly one of the best upcoming guys that they have. He should literally be on the show every week. But so I just thought that was a cool little story because, like I said, something I could bring it to you, and it's like I said, it's one of my Yankees friends. So yeah, he was quote tweeted by MJF on Twitter for the whole world to see.
Awesome.
That's spectacular.
Yes, absolutely awesome. All right, so unless anybody else has got a story, I think it is time to jump into our main course, the Star Wars podcast. All right. So as we always do, it is time to jump in our podcast. But before we do, a public service announcement, as we always like to do in the beginning, and that is we do want to thank all our fans on YouTube, Twitter, Spotify. Why did I say Twitter? We don't have any fans on Twitter, I don't think. Maybe. So
Twitter, so
Look
we
what
do have
you
a Twitter
started,
account,
Darth
but
Pat.
we don't think we've never mentioned it
Jesus.
before. So we want to thank all our fans on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and Stitcher for tuning in. Wherever you're catching this, we really do appreciate it. If you are catching us on YouTube, please make sure you give us a like, give us that big thumbs up. Set the notifications up, sign up and subscribe to our channel. Also, if you're on iTunes, Stitcher, or Spotify, go ahead and make sure you're giving us a rating so anybody else who wants to hear this crazy ass show like you're listening to now can catch it just like you are and get entertained. And always, 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 and I'm not forgetting it this time, make sure you tune in to the end of the show to catch the Mount Rushmore, which is going to be based on today's theme. As always, it's going to be Star Wars this time, but you got to tune in to the end to find out what exactly about Star Wars it's going to be. So today on our Star Wars, where we are going to get our geek on, our total Star Wars geek on, we are going to be talking about the prequels, which include these guys right here. You know, the clone troopers, as my Lego clone troopers, part of my Lego Star Wars guys. We got some little droids, little tiny droids are kind of hard to see. But we got a couple things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about, one, our top 3 favorite or least favorite characters. The best or most impactful scene or scenes that from those movies. Do we go Jedi or Sith? Our favorite lightsaber color. Major likes and dislikes from the prequels. And this week, our stumper question is brought to us by Darth Pat. So, who wants to kick it off? Starting with our top 3.
Darth Pat, I think since the last time we did a Star Wars one, Jeremy tried to give us a terrible rendition of the Star Wars music. Do you think you could give us a better rendition?
Aw.
Now, by Star Wars music, are you referring to the main theme?
Yes. I'm pretty sure that's what Jeremy botched the first time around, and you were like, what is that supposed to be?
I thought it was very cool.
Okay. I mean, I don't really remember that. I mean, that's like asking me if I actually watch these podcasts once they're posted.
Oh my God.
Yes, fans, he doesn't like to watch himself.
Pat, he
But seriously, folks out there, okay, and if you're only listening to this, not watching this, unfortunately, this reference will be lost in you. But folks, let's be honest here. If this was your face, if you want to...
Oh my gosh.
Come on.
Seriously, Pat. Seriously.
So give us a brief Star Wars theme music.
Thank
you. That was a tad bit better. Oh.
That's very nice there, Joe. Thank you. Good. Very nice, very nice.
I couldn't listen to that shit anymore.
Pat, you did better than Jeremy did.
When we put this, when I added this to our one podcast, it got didn't get taken down, but it did get flagged for copyrights.
Did it really?
Yes,
when what?
It did. Because I added this music to our podcast at the very end of one and needless to say, you got to be careful with copyrights. It didn't get taken down because we weren't using it in a trying to make money fashion, because we weren't monetizing anything. Because like we always say, we always do that. We're doing this for fun. We do this absolutely for fun. So it didn't get flagged as far as you got to take this down because you can't make money off of something you don't own. But it did get flagged for copyright, saying you don't own that music.
I thought you were allowed to do like 5 second. I thought you were allowed like certain like limits.
There are, and I did the proper thing by the privacy, the share thing with that kind of stuff. But Disney and that is very, very watching on anybody who's catched using their stuff. But so it was kind of funny to see that on our thing. So, but let's get into our podcast, and let's start off with our top 3 favorite or even least favorite characters from the prequels. And I'm just going to throw this one out there because I'm sure all 4 of us are going to say Jar Jar Binks. Because he was...
Numero uno.
Yeah, he's just numero uno. And I think anybody who's ever watched the Star Wars prequels would say Jar Jar Binks, just because his character was just really an annoying character. Just that utterly annoying character that you wish they could have taken out of the movie, but he was too bad he's in there. So sad. So Darth Pat, real quick, give us 2 more of either your favorite or least favorite characters.
So wait. You want me to say 2 or 3?
2.
Well, we already got
Jar. Already taken by Jar Jar Binks.
See, I wasn't necessarily sure if Jar Jar would be in my 3 least favorite characters from the prequels, just because of the fact that he's barely in episode 2, and the only time he appears in episode 3 is briefly, and it's visual only. Like, he has no line. So I don't know if Jar Jar would necessarily be my 3 least favorite, but I'll take it as understood. That's no problem. My 3 favorite characters from the prequels, Palpatine, because he just gets a lot to do, and it really shows you just how evil he really is. I mean, you don't get the full sense of that, from the original trilogy alone. The prequel is really like the meat, behind the character there. Obi-Wan, because even though he obviously makes mistakes, he's really like, he's still very much like the Obi-Wan of episode 4, that he's, very noble, always trying to do the right thing, determined, fights, he's really doing everything, again, the way that he thinks it's right. It doesn't always turn out that way, but that's also not really necessarily his fault. So, third favorite character from the prequels, that's really a little bit tougher, but I think I'm gonna go with Yoda again, because again, you get to see just more of him. You get to see him in action, which of course is, that's like, like the money scene, if you will, of Attack of the Clones. And also his fight with Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith is fairly memorable too. So, because when you think about it, they are like the complete, polar opposite characters of really the whole saga in so many ways. So to actually see them fight against each other was a pretty rewarding scene. So I would say those 3. So adding on to Jar Jar, 3 least favorite characters, Anakin, because and unfortunately, I want to say a lot of it is the fault of the 2 actors, and a lot of it is, but conversely, a lot of that is also then the fault of George Lucas, both in his writing and his direction, because unfortunately the character is poorly directed and he's poorly written. So it's kind of no wonder that he doesn't come off as being, all that likable or really like hitting the right notes. Like, especially with Jake Lloyd in episode 1, they do try to have those little moments of kind of like foreshadowing about how like, he'll turn dark at some point, like, and he's got issues, I guess you could say, that, are kind of foreshadowing, but they don't come off quite as well. Like, I always thought Jake Lloyd gave a better acting performance in Jingle All the Way than he did because he's playing a much more, realistic, kid character in Jingle All the Way, and he's not weighed down by the fact that, hey, you're playing the future Darth Vader, So,
yeah.
I don't blame. Yeah, I don't blame him a lot. You can't blame a child actor for a lot of stuff like that. But yeah. So other than that, then the least favorite, I'm gonna go with Newt Gunray, the the head of the Trade Federation.
The Viceroy.
Yeah, the Nemodians, I believe, was the name of the race that that control the Trade Federation, are fairly problematic as it is, and that's something I'm sure we're going to touch on a little bit later. But there's both nothing that's fun to watch about Newt Gunray because he's such a sniveling little shit, but there's also not really that much satisfying about watching him fail. And when he gets his comeuppance in the end, it's it's in the name, of course, of the Empire being established and the galaxy being plunged into darkness. And it really happens so quickly. Like, you would have almost thought that they could have maybe like added a little thing. Obviously, Anakin's wiping out that like entire room of them on Mustafar and everything in Revenge of the Sith. But you'd almost little hope that he might have like stopped right before he killed him when he's like protesting, like, oh, but Darth Sidious said he'd give us peace. You'd almost think that Anakin would kind of stop and say something about him trying to have Padme killed on multiple occasions throughout, the first two movies or something like that. And then just like, get like really dark and have him like, not just like stick the lightsaber into him, but like, chop his effing head off. So that would have been a lot more satisfying. So as dark as that is, but the whole point, of course, Revenge of the Sith is that it's supposed to be dark.
They could have had him say a cool line like, "Yeah, piece of this lightsaber, bitch."
that's a little too punny for Star Wars, but it still would have been better than what we have, I think. Just because it still would have been taunting him in a way. So, but yeah, those would be my picks.
All right,
I'll go
AJ.
next.
Yeah, AJ, go.
Favorite, even though he's in one movie, Darth Maul. Darth Maul's one of my favorite characters in all of Star Wars. I wish he was in more movies. And Ray Park did a really good job of playing him. So he was a badass. I wish we would have got to see more of him. I really like, I think the lightsaber fight at the end of Phantom Menace is my favorite. So, because they do some different stuff. Yoda, probably. So when I saw Attack of the Clones, that when the scene happened when Yoda got up and fought, like everybody stood up and cheered in the whole theater after that happened, and that's what Star Wars nerds do. So it was, not going into a lot of specifics now, but some of the, we have dicey issues with some of these movies, but I enjoyed the whole like waiting in line and the people dressing up and all the crazy stuff I saw at these three Star Wars movies. Like that part of it was fun for me. So, and then I liked Anakin after he turns completely, even though it's at the end of the movie. I loved Anakin when he went completely dark. I wish I would have gotten to see more of that. Pat's 100% right about, he did a terrible job of acting as him, especially in Attack of the Clones. The line about the sand might be one of the worst lines in a Star Wars movie, period. So
I will still use that sand line on people to annoy them whenever they mention sand, especially if it's one of my two sisters who are pretty big Star Wars fans as well, because they hate that line as well. So
I like Hayden Christensen a lot, and I like Natalie Portman. They sucked in Attack of the Clones. I'm not even going to be nice. They sucked. Their acting was bad. But I did like him when he turned bad. I was very happy to see that version of, I think Hayden Christensen was way more comfortable playing that version than the other one.
I want to just real quick jump into the Natalie Portman thing. She's actually a very pretty woman. Like, I think she's very pretty. But they had her in such horrible outfits throughout that thing. And I understand the whole premise of the outfits. But there's that one scene right before they go to Geonosis where she is in that skin-tight white thing. And I know this is going to sound sexist to some of our women listeners, and I apologize for that up front. But that outfit was the best outfit that she had on. It actually showed that she looked like, besides having the face of a woman, actually made her look like she was an actual woman, because those those outfits were terrible in all movies.
I didn't like her when she was Queen Amidala dressed up in all that getup and stuff.
All right, so continue, AJ. Sorry.
She actually, that would be probably one of the people I didn't like her in Phantom Menace when she was garbed up and all that stuff, Jeremy. So you kind of stole my thunder a little bit there.
I'm sorry.
So probably the other person I didn't really like that may surprise you guys is I didn't like Mace Windu. He annoyed the shit out of me. So I didn't like him really at all. I find myself watching him and I'm like, I was happy when he died. So I was perfectly fine with that happening.
Thank God this guy's off the screen.
So I don't know why either. I mean, he's a great actor.
Oh yeah.
He just annoyed me in the movie. I don't know why. I can't even put I didn't like him.
I'll tell you what it is. It's the fact that Samuel L. Jackson was playing a character that spoke so damn softly. yes, we will have to check into this further. Instead of being like, get these motherfucking snakes off this motherfucking plane. You know, because almost every role that he's in, he sounds like he's like almost agitated or screaming or yelling. Like, and these are the 3 movies that he's in that he is so soft-spoken. You're like, is Samuel L. Jackson actually in this movie?
Kind of docile. You're like, he is kind of docile compared to some of the other things he's done.
Yeah, I mean, just go back to not Snakes on a Plane, but go back to Pulp Fiction. Even in Pulp Fiction, even when he was like in his more low key, he was still more animated and had a much more brisk tone to his voice than in Star Wars. Star Wars was completely unlike any character he's ever done. It was so different. So I can understand you not liking that character that he had to play as Mace Windu.
You can go ahead, Jeremy.
Samuel Jackson, you need to use your movie inside voice. Nothing louder, nothing softer. That's all you're allowed to do.
All right, Theo.
His performance and the character, when you come right down to it, do end up being a kind of one note for the entire trilogy. And I think maybe I'll just throw this out there again. Sorry to interrupt, but I think maybe one of the reasons why you also don't really like him as much as he thought is that, again, you do have an expectation with the Samuel L. Jackson character that he's going to be this like kind of like kick-ass, take charge character, and in a lot of ways, Mace Windu is neither of those things. So,
yeah,
I can kind of see that.
Go ahead, Theo. Give us your 3.
Okay. So, 3 least favorite. Yeah, I'm sorry. Jar Jar's 1 just because that whole first movie was so damn annoying. And I feel bad for the guy who played him because he definitely went through a lot of shit after that movie and personally.
Also, so did Jake Lloyd, so yeah.
So, Jar Jar's 1. The 2 was the Trade Federation droids. I couldn't stand them. The way they talk, the Roger. They made it so he was trying to make fighting droids be funny, and they were not funny. I couldn't. There was one part of the movie I just didn't like them. Every single movie was like they were like dumb robots. Like, how are you doing anything with a bunch of dumb robots? It's worse when you have stormtroopers can't shoot shit, but then you have Trade Federation robots that are like Roger, dumb, and ooh, no, I'm going to die. You go. I couldn't stand that. In Padme's character, she was the other one. I didn't like her character more than not liking Anakin's character. In regards to that, they were kind of neck and neck. You know, they could probably be like 3A and 3B for me. It was all 3 movies. She wasn't so bad in the first one because it's with a little kid and she's kind of young too, and you know they had to stand, you know, her protector as being, you know, the queen and whatnot. But so was my 3, the least favorite. 3 favorite would be Yoda, Jango Fett, and
I like Jango Fett also.
Jango Fett and General Grievous.
Nice.
I wasn't a big fan of Dooku, really. He wasn't in it a whole lot, but I just wasn't a big fan of his.
I called him Count Poo Poo.
It's weird because it's one of those things where in the movies, some of those characters that weren't really great in the movies, unfortunately, they got them right in the Attack of the Clones cartoon that they did with all of them. Like Anakin's awesome in the cartoon, and Padme's a lot better. Count Dooku's a lot better, and there's a lot of good stuff in there. But unfortunately, the movies kind of shit to bed, pretty much. So those are my 3 on each side.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to say that you guys pretty much stole all the characters that I would think of. Yeah. We kind of, you know, we're kind of on the same vibe, all 4 of us, as far as characters that we really liked.
4 men sharing one brain.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know.
I don't know about that.
Well, you guys can have mine if you want. But as far as like another character that I liked, to be honest with you, I don't know. There wasn't, like, all the characters we mentioned are pretty much all the characters that really kind of stand out in my mind. There wasn't, like, any, like, off-the-wall character that was, well, except for I did like Qui-Gon Jinn. He was also only a one movie person, but I really did like Qui-Gon Jinn because he was willing to go against what the Jedi Council said because of his belief in Anakin. Like, I'm training this dude. I don't care what you say. It's going to happen. And then, when he dies, he makes, Obi-Wan promise to train Anakin. So, I did like Qui-Gon Jinn. Another one of my favorites, and Joe already mentioned him, was Jango Fett. He was short-lived too, but there's a scene that I'll talk about when we get into our scenes that I'm going to talk about with Jango Fett, as long as it doesn't get taken first. So don't talk about it there, Theo, Joe.
I'll try not.
I was
least favorite. Let me give one least favorite that I want to throw in there that we didn't mention yet, and that was also for me. And I'm going to have to think about it here a little bit. I didn't like Boba Fett, like the little kid. That little kid was annoying, to me. Like,
he was a turd.
He just, like, when his dad's doing something, it's like, yeah. I'm like, shut the fuck up. If I would have been like your dad, I would have been like, shut up. You're annoying the shit out of me right now, kid.
That's one of the best scenes in Attack of the Clones, and the fact that he keeps opening his mouth and everything almost pretty much fucks it up.
Yeah, he's like, get him, Dad, get him, yeah. Like, shut up. You're ruining the fight right now. You're ruining the whole space fight. Shut up.
He was a more annoying version of Salacious B. Crumb.
Yes, I was just gonna say his laugh was just like the guy from Jabba's palace.
Oh yeah. I see you're going with that one.
I wish that the. I'm sorry, Jeremy. Go ahead and finish. I'm sorry.
No, I'm good. I got everybody because I don't have anybody else that I can think of from those movies that was good or bad.
I also I liked Django and Grievous and Darth Maul. I was disappointed because it was like the bad guy only lasted one movie. Like the cool bad guy that you get the toy for before the movie lasted one movie in each of these.
Yes. Yeah. The only ones that lasted more than one movie was the ultimate bad guy, and that was Palpatine. So yeah, I did like Palpatine too. He was a really good character.
Yeah, and I think that was really kind of showing. Well, first of all, like Yoda says at the end of Phantom Menace, only two there are, but it also I think kind of just it was almost kind of to show how disposable really everybody was to Palpatine. It's like they'll play a part in his plan. Obviously I'm sure his intention was for Maul to always be at his side and everything. Okay, so Maul gets killed, he goes and he finds Dooku, but everybody else is just like he's just using them. So, yep.
What do you guys think?
And that's what makes him the ultimate bad guy. So,
yeah. What do you guys think was the best lightsaber duel?
The best lightsaber duel.
The first, I said for me the Darth Maul one and at the end of the first Phantom Menace. That's what I think was for me. That saved that movie to me.
Yeah, that was because you waited a long time to see that lightsaber duel. You're like, when's there going to be a lightsaber duel? For me, I would say it was Anakin and Obi-Wan on Mustafar. That was a really good lightsaber duel.
Even though I think Attack of the Clones is the worst movie, I really liked the lightsaber duels at the end of Attack of the Clones because I remember seeing back in the nascent days of the internet, in 1999 and everything. I remember and I'm not making this up. I remember seeing people complaining about the lightsaber duel in Phantom Menace. Where was the taunting? Because throughout episodes 5 and 6 and the Luke Vader duels, and in episode 4 in the Vader Obi-Wan duel, Vader is fairly talkative, making like all ominous predictions and everything and everything like that. But that's the thing about the duel in episode 1 is that it's completely silent up until the moment where Maul, kills Qui-Gon and and Anakin, Obi-Wan shouts out no and everything. We just lose Joe.
We're having some technical difficulties. We've lost Theo. Continue though. He'll be back.
Well, the thing I like about the duels at the end of episode 2, first it's Dooku against Anakin and Obi-Wan, though. I recall, he doesn't actually ever fight them simultaneously, because first he knocks Anakin out when Anakin tries to charge too quick. So he kind of fights both of them individually, defeats both of them more or less, and then has the fight with Yoda. But anyway, during his fights with both Obi-Wan and Anakin, he's taunting the shit out of them, and he's basically trying to, he's saying all that shit to, like, throw them off their game and everything. So I appreciated them making sure that got added back into episode 2, because it does, kind of help to just emphasize just how, silver-tongued and poisonous, that the bad guy really is. So I think that aspect kind of helped that. And again, it's just really cool to see Yoda fight. So,
yeah, Joe.
I'm torn between the one at the end of the first one and the one with Obi-Wan versus Dooku, and then Yoda shows up. I think they're kind of neck and neck for me. I think the one with Yoda, the second one, kind of puts it maybe a little bit above, because just Yoda comes out and starts flipping and using his force powers and doing that twisty thing and all kinds of shit, fighting Dooku. That was cool.
That was the pre-internet age, essentially, so nobody knew that was coming.
Yeah.
Like, if that movie came out now, something would leak and we would know. Like, it was just cool because nobody knew that was coming in that movie. Like, nobody.
No. Like, when I was in the movie theater I was in, like, once you saw Yoda's like kind of limp, and everyone's like, "Oh fuck, here we go!
Oh shit!
He's got to for someone. Let's do this, Yoda. Let's do this!" And then boom, he pulls it out, and the whole place went ape shit. And that place was full too. I was like, "Oh yes, about fucking time we get to see some action with Yoda." So that was good. Good stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty badass. I remember that scene when I first saw it. It's one of those scenes that's a memorable scene, very memorable scene in any Star Wars movie.
So just let me throw this in. So I saw each episode in the prequels. I lived in a different state for each episode. So I saw The Phantom Menace in Ohio, and then I moved to New Hampshire, saw Attack of the Clones in New Hampshire, and then moved to PA and saw Revenge of the Sith with Jeremy and Darth Pat. So it's kind of crazy. I kept moving around and saw each episode in a different state.
Yes, and I remember going to Revenge of the Sith with you, and either one of our friends had a lightsaber.
I had lights.
You had the lightsaber, but I think also another friend of ours had a lightsaber. But just to experience the fact that there was people dressed up in full-on cloaks and stuff like that was just like, this is like a next level more nerdier than I am about Star Wars. I was like, there's some mega nerds here for Star Wars. Like, it was very interesting. And it's one of those things I'll never forget, going to Revenge of the Sith and, standing in line and talking with those people, because they're just as big of a super fan as I am about those movies and get geeked up about them. And, they just take it to the next level. Like, I'm not into the whole dress up thing. Like, Halloween, I don't really dress up. My wife takes me to, and because I do it for the kids, but dressing up's never been my thing in any, even for Halloween.
Neither.
But seeing that really just puts the exclamation point on how big Star Wars is and how crazy some fans can be.
Oh yeah.
So that was really cool. I'll never forget that. All right.
Well,
so
and then of course you also have the people who come dressed up as Star Wars characters to Batman movies, Marvel movies,
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah. I knew there was one that we saw together.
Yes, there was a whole like group of people dressed up like the Jedi Council when we went to see one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
And that's the kind of shit that doesn't make any sense. Like,
that does not.
It's there's one purpose for that, and that's to go see Star Wars, not to see other movies. You want to dress up like characters from that movie. That's
or if
fine.
you're going to a Comic-Con, that's different.
Or you're going to a Comic-Con, that's completely different. I need to go to a Comic-Con because I really want to go experience that whole thing for once at least.
Real quick,
you want to act like Patrick Warburton and Michael Dorn and Ted 2. That's what you want to do at a Comic-Con. You just want to insult everybody.
No, actually not. I'm impressed by some of the outfits that they have.
Yes.
Very much so.
Me and my one friend, And Jeremy knows this guy. The two guys I go with to the Comic Cons, or used to when I lived up in Pennsylvania. We've seen some very awesome cosplay outfits. We've seen some not so good ones, but there is people that always come to impress. The one year, I think it was
some nice looking women.
Well, of course you're going to see nice looking women dressed up as like Wonder Woman or Supergirl or any male superhero character, and they just, sexy it up or whatever. But yeah, of course you see that.
What's wrong with that?
But nope, definitely not.
I knew that figured into it somewhere.
But there was the second last year that had gone to the New York Comic Con. Was probably 3/4 of the way. It was probably 3 hours before the place closed, maybe 4 hours. There was a group of people, and they built like a life-size Voltron. What? The Voltron was like 15 feet tall. So they legitimately there was a group of people. I have pictures. I have pictures somewhere of it. I took pictures of it. So the stilts for this were, I'm 6'2", so I think the stilts came up to like maybe 5 feet. Came up to my shoulders, and they were like, they had a ladder. The guy was getting in. They were strapping this dude to the stilts, and like they were just like putting the stuff on him and connecting everything. It was fucking insane because he had to walk through the entrance into the Javits Convention Center, and he actually had to like duck a little bit to get underneath the entranceway. But like he was just going, he had I don't know how long the goddamn sword was for the Voltron, but it was fucking awesome. And it was like the Lion Voltron and everything. It was fucking really cool.
Nice.
So you see some legitimate stuff there. Some people spend a lot of money and put a lot of hours into these outfits. One day I'm going to do it as well. But it will be at the San Diego Comic Con. That's where I want to do it at.
Nice. Well, if you get tickets and you want to go, just let me know when that is and when we're done with this whole COVID bullshit, and I'll make sure I go with you.
That's my bucket list.
It'll never be over.
Probably not. All right. So
what's next?
Quick public service announcement. We want to thank all our listeners and viewers for joining us on either YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, or Spotify. If you are catching us on YouTube, thank you, and please make sure you give us a like, give us a big thumbs up. Make sure you turn on those notifications as well as subscribe to our channel, Four Guys Roundtable Show. If you're catching us on Spotify, Stitcher, or iTunes, make sure you give us a rating so we jump up there in the ratings for, or standings, I should say, for podcasts, so everybody that wants to can find this show and get some entertainment out of it, because like we said, and we always say, we do this for you guys. We do it to have fun for ourselves, and hopefully you guys find this entertaining. And also, make sure you tune in always to the end of the show so you can catch our Mount Rushmore this week based on Star Wars prequels. So let's talk about our next thing. We'll make this next three topics kind of quick hits. We got best or most impactful scene. Go, Joe.
Why don't you go? Because you said you don't want somebody to steal yours.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Go first.
So one of my most impactful scenes I'll go with, this is my best scene. Best scene is when, for me, and it's kind of comical, is Jango Fett and Obi-Wan's interaction when they're on goodness gracious, Kamino, when they're on Kamino, and he's kind of interrogating him but having a conversation with him, and he's like, "Oh, you don't know this person?" He's like, "No, never heard of him. I got my instructions from this person," and I'm not going to remember names, that's why I'm just saying this person and that person. And he's like, "Interesting. Yes, interesting." And it's just like this, like, I'm more snide than you kind of comments. Like, who can be more of a,
snarky jackass?
Yeah, and it's just kind of comical, but it's also it's one of my favorite scenes just because you don't see a lot of that, and it didn't feel like forced comedy. Even though I don't think it was supposed to be comical, it turned out to be kind of comical the way that interaction went. My most impactful scene, believe it or not, has nothing to do with an actual individual lightsaber duel. It's actually when they go to Geonosis and all the Jedi show up, like a big bunch of Jedi in the you see the clones for the first time in action, and they just fuck shit up. Like they're just like, kill them all, you know. Let it get sorted out from here, you know. And you see the clones, they're taking out Geonosians, and you see the Jedi taking on people and cutting them and, you know, down and shit. That was a really big scene for me, because that's the first time we ever see that, is where we see multiple Jedi instead of like 2, maybe 3 Jedi fighting. It's a whole platoon, so to say, of Jedis fighting. So those are my 2 scenes.
Okay.
AJ.
Go ahead, Theo.
Oh, okay, Theo.
Wow, we're going in circles here. That one you mentioned with all the Jedi showing up to rescue them, the huge battle, and that leads up to, you know, Yoda whooping some lightsaber butt at the end. That was probably one of my favorite scenes out of all 3 movies per se. I think there's 2 things that are like the 2 different scenes, that are the most impactful for me. One is episode 1, where Qui-Gon's talking to Anakin's mom. Because, you know, the part where he's asking who his father is, and she's like, well, he has no father. So, like, at first, it's like, wait a minute, Anakin doesn't have a father? Like, where are they going with this? Mm-hmm. You know, and then he does the midichlorians test and things of that nature. So that was kind of interesting. So I was like, wow, he has no father. So how are they going about explaining this? So it's kind of like, are they going to explain it to this movie, episode 2, episode 3? Like, where are they going with this? I think the next one was Order 66, really, you know, because that was the order that was given to just wipe everybody out, wipe all the Jedi out. And it's very impactful, not just in movies, but it's also impactful in other parts, like the books and the animated series that I watched a lot. And that continues on in, you know, Star Wars Rebels, because some of the clones that were able to withstand Order 66 show up in that one too, and you get more of a backstory when that happens with certain clone troopers and whatnot. So I think those were the 2. That's my favorite scene, like battle scene overall, favorite scene of all 3 movies. But those are my 2 most impactful parts of the whole prequels.
Darth Pat, go ahead. You haven't talked for a while, so go ahead.
And he's still not going to talk, evidently.
You know, because here's the problem. I don't rewatch the prequels really ever. You know, I can like rewatch the original trilogy almost any time. But I don't ever really rewatch the prequels, and it's, you know, so it's just, to be honest, I'm not so sure how many scenes really had like, you know, like a tremendous impact on me. Like there's some scenes in the original trilogy that are just like the way that they're done or with what's going on screen, you know, they really make me have like an emotional connection to it and everything, but it doesn't really happen so much in the prequels. So I guess there's 2 that I'm thinking of now, though. One of which is basically 2 scenes put together, and that's in episode 2. The picnic scene, followed by the scene at night where it's like all dark and she's wearing like the dark dress and stuff. Because it was the combination of those 2 scenes where I'm pretty sure when I was watching episode 2 for the first time in the theater, and you got to remember, like, so it's 3 years since the episode 1 came out, and 3 years of kind of ruminating about it and being like, you know, it wasn't as good as I thought it was at first, and there's some parts that don't really work. But then seeing the trailers for episode 2 and saying, oh man, this looks like it's going to kick ass. Those 2 scenes, then when I was watching the movie in the theater for the first time, were the scenes that made me go, fuck, this movie isn't good.
So impactful in not a good way.
and nothing that really came after those scenes, and there were a lot of good scenes, like, you know, you guys have mentioned some of the big battle at the end and the lightsaber duels and everything, could do anything to rescue that movie. And my memory could be faulty on this, but I'm 90% sure that for every single Star Wars movie that's ever been released, I saw it in the theater multiple times. I'm pretty sure I only saw episode 2 that one time at midnight on opening night, and I didn't go back and see it a second time. I was that kind of turned off by it. Actually, I don't think I saw Solo multiple times either, but everything else, I definitely did. So, so there's that. The other scene I would say that had an impact on me, I'm gonna go to episode 3, and it's the scene where Palpatine pretty much admits to Anakin that he's Darth Sidious, because that's really when he's at the height of his manipulative powers, in the sense that he has no worries, no concerns whatsoever about telling Anakin that that's who he is, because he knows he's got Anakin wrapped around his finger with the the promises of sparing or bringing back the dead or whatever, because he's got all those like bad nightmares about Padme dying and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows that Anakin will kind of sort of try to do something, which, I mean, like, I recall Anakin does like ignite his lightsaber and kind of hold it up to him and everything, saying like, that he'd like to kill him or like to just like arrest him then and there. But Palpatine knows that Anakin won't do that because, one, he's afraid of to kill him, that he'll lose whatever ability there might be to save Padme, and that he probably knows that he couldn't actually take Palpatine when Palpatine's admitting he is this all-powerful Sith Lord. And so Palpatine knows that Anakin will run back to the Jedi Council and tell them Palpatine's the one that we've been looking for this whole time. And so that's really all part of Palpatine's plan, because he basically knows he can take all those guys out, which he does pretty easily when you come right down to it, and that includes Mace Windu. I mean, obviously Anakin gives him the assist there, but yeah, so it just basically again goes to show just how great a manipulative, evil person Palpatine really was. That he's just like, yeah, like like he said in Return of the Jedi, like everything is proceeding as I have foreseen. So it's really, again, it's just like it's at the epitome, it's or the pinnacle rather, that moment where it's like, I won. So
This little childish kid, me.
Well, I mean, if you want to reduce it into such terms, that's basically what that comes down to. Because I mean, once he kills like the guys who come to arrest him, and he kills Mace Windu, what's the next thing he does? He issues Order 66.
Yeah.
He's won at that point. I mean, because I mean, obviously, Yoda and Obi-Wan try again to stop them, but Yoda can't defeat Palpatine, and Obi-Wan, doesn't finish the job of Anakin. So.
All right, AJ.
I don't know if I have. I guess impactful scene for me would be whenever I don't remember when I was watching The Phantom Menace, but at some point I realized that the Senator was the Emperor. Whenever that clicked home for me, I remember being like, oh shit, that's the Emperor. So whenever that happened in that movie, and then my favorite scene is when Anakin's walking up the steps at the Jedi Temple with the fucking dark eyes, and I say this to everybody, they should have showed him killing the younglings, damn it. So I wanted to see that shit.
I'm very glad they didn't, that it would have been very inappropriate, and I'm glad they don't ever show that in any movie usually.
They seriously could have given the movie an R rating just because if they had actually shown him killing kids. So
yeah,
it's quite understandable as to what they did, and really when you come right down to it, just the scene of him igniting the lightsaber is enough. This just occurred to me now for the first time ever. I don't really know why. One of my favorite all-time movies is a Western called Once Upon a Time in the West, where Henry Fonda, who usually always played heroes, he plays like the main bad guy. There's a scene where he and his men massacre this family, and there's one survivor, the youngest child. And like they don't do anything to him. And then one of his men asks him, "What are we going to do with this one, Frank?" And then he kind of turns and looks at his man with disgust, and then looks back at the kid and says, "Well, now that you've called me by name," and you see him draw his revolver, his 6-shooter, and he smiles at the kid one more time, and then it shows him, shoot the gun, like from like it's like the camera's like looking at the gun barrel and everything, and then it cuts to the next scene. You don't actually see like the kid getting shot and everything. You see
But
him
you know
dead
what
in the
happens.
yeah, you see him dead in the next scene and everything, and he's got this like stain on his shirt because he was holding like a bottle of wine, which means that obviously the bullet went through the bottle of wine and sprayed onto him. So like that's effective enough. You don't really need to necessarily show it.
It is. That's just me being morbid and wanting to see the bad guys fuck shit up. So
AJ
that's
is a sick bastard.
sometimes I'm a sick freak.
More so than anything else that Anakin does, killing all like the separatist leaders and every other thing, or killing, basically helping Mace Windu get killed. I mean, killing kids. I mean, that's right up at the top of like the most evil things that you can do. So
Yeah.
Well, and it's very interesting. I'm going to go back to scenes since I want to wrap this up, but I want to make mention of this one odd scene in the movie in Attack of the Clones where Anakin comes back from saving his mom, who is now dead, and he kills all the Tusken Raiders, every single one of them.
That was awesome.
Males, females, kids.
Kids.
That was awesome.
And I don't have a problem with that, that. But what's fucked up in that scene, if you think about it, I was watching it today and I was like, what the fuck? Is he tells Padme, he's like, I killed them all. And she just kind of looks at him like, And he's like, not just the men, the women, the children. I killed them all. I hate them. And instead of being like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You're psycho. She's like, it's all right to be angry. I'm like, what? Like, what? What the hell is wrong with you, woman?
Into his anger.
Well,
Like,
I think there's two things going on there. One, Lucas is not a great director, so he didn't give Portman good direction for how to respond. But two, let's just try to say you're Padme in that scene.
ooh, okay.
And you've got this guy who can use the Force and wields a lightsaber, has told you how he's just single-handedly wiped out an encampment of Tusken Raiders. Do you want to say anything to him that could potentially provoke a reaction that could result in him saying, fuck you, bitch, and igniting his lightsaber and taking it on you? Just saying that's a possibility.
I'm going to kill you now.
There are problems with that scene because she should have a stronger reaction one way or the other. Like you don't even see like a moment of horror really coming on her face that I can really recall, and that's a problem. Another problem with that scene, and since you just watched it, maybe you can fill me in or not, because the way I remember it was that after he's like told Padme the story and everything, he calms down a little bit and he's like kind of then like lamenting, saying, "I'm a Jedi. I'm supposed to be better than this." But I think that was deleted originally. I don't know, like if he decided to like add it back in, but
No, it was in there.
It was in there. Okay, so but I'm like almost positive it was not part of the scene at first, like when it was first shown in theaters and everything, because not having that little bit of dialogue in there really does make it look like he's an unredeemable psychopath. Not that he's torn and that he's having his feelings, because the whole thing is that, remember, there's still good in him. There's still good in him. It's what Padme says to Obi-Wan when she's dying, and it's what Luke is insisting in Jedi and everything. If you don't have that little bit of line of dialogue in there, it's really hard to make the case that there is still good in him. So
Yeah.
And he is crying in it, which is, another sign that he feels remorse to a point. Even though he says, I hate them all. He's got just the tiniest tear coming down his face, but it was just, it was a really weird scene. I'm like, why does she not seem upset about this? And try to confront him and whatever. I was just like, it's a really weird scene. Like, okay. All right. So real quick, AJ, Jedi or Sith?
Sith, baby. When I played Knights of the Old Republic, I kill everything. So I fucking kill everything. I killed the Tusken Raiders. I killed everybody in the Jedi Academy. I killed everybody I possibly could in that game. That's what I do in any Harry Potter. I'm Slytherin. Like, go anywhere, and I'm whatever the villainous thing is. No
You're
doubt
right.
about it.
You're a
Evil as evil can be in anything possible.
Yes, there's no middle ground or even close. It is straight dark.
All right. Theo, Jedi or Sith?
Well, that was pretty obvious from earlier in the show.
Still looks blue.
Green.
Actually, it looks aqua now.
Hold on, it's because of the light.
It does look aqua.
Very green, though. We know.
It's obviously because of the light. I'm just saying. Man.
All right. So we got one Jedi, one Sith. Darth Pat.
Well,
Jedi
we're talking. If we're
Well,
talking, if we're talking just the prequels, then it's Sith because
No. What would you affiliate with? Not who would
Any,
you
the whole
Darth-
universe.
See, I don't really know, and the reason I say that is because AJ brought up Knights of the Old Republic. I played the first Knights of the Old Republic both ways. The second one, I think I only ever played light side because I don't think I wanted to invest the time to replay it because I was a little disappointed with the ending and stuff. But like playing the first one both ways, I actually found playing light side to be more satisfying. Like even though like you can do a lot of really fun things, like when you're dark side, I just felt like light side was more satisfying. That was me. So I really don't know. I think I could be Jedi one day and Sith the next day. So
Pat, you're light.
yeah,
I've been friends with you for years, Pat. You're light.
I think my personality is such that I do aspire to try to be a decent person.
The only other one
in my fantasies though, yeah, I'm killing everybody. So
of the three of you guys, the only other one of the three of you that could be dark is Theo.
And to conclude our Jedi or Sith, which one are we? I am definitely a Jedi. I definitely affiliate with the Jedis. I prefer their color choices of lightsabers too, because with Sith you get one choice and it's red, and that's
fine.
All right, so moving on. Favorite lightsaber color, Theo?
I have 3. It's
Okay.
hey, I'm a Jedi. I can pick whatever fucking color I want. So it's green, purple, and yellow. I think I kind of lean towards the yellow one, but green and purple is right up there as well.
Red.
Okay, so AJ's red.
Obvious.
And Darth Pat?
It's definitely the green. I mean, Luke's lightsaber and Jedi has really always been my favorite lightsaber of the whole saga. So yeah, I would go with that.
My favorite is kind of an odd one, and I figure I like this color because when I played the most recent Star Wars game on PS4, they had a white lightsaber crystal.
Yeah.
And that was freaking badass to me. I was like, this is a really cool color. Because
it was.
I don't remember in any of the Star Wars movies any other Jedi having a white lightsaber. So
Cartoons,
that was really cool.
Not movies.
Yeah, right. Cartoons, no movies. So that was really, really cool. All right. So this is going to be.
Here's another real quick story.
Okay.
So, and Pat may, when Phantom Menace was coming out, Meet Joe Black made a shit ton of money because people went to see Meet Joe Black just to go see the trailer for Phantom Menace, and then they left. That's like Star Wars fans in a nutshell. They went to see a 2-minute trailer and then left.
That's just crazy.
I remember hearing about that, which of course is. I've never watched Meet Joe Black because I just heard way too many things about it. But the funny thing is, I just went to the Wikipedia page for Meet Joe Black. It made a total of $44.6 million domestic box office. It actually did much better overseas, but it even has here in the box office section. As Meet Joe Black was one of the few films showing the first trailer for Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, it was reported that droves of Star Wars fans bought tickets for the film only to leave after the trailer showed. Again, there was, if you're like less than 20 years old and you're listening to this right now, you're probably going, why don't you just watch it on the internet? Well, the internet was still so new at that time that it could see, and we didn't have high-speed internet yet. It was still just all dial-up. It could seriously take you an hour or two just to download and watch that fucking trailer. So
Yeah.
there was good reason to do that. I will say I categorically refused to go pay money.
I did not do it. I did not do it either. But
I got very lucky because that same kind of like fall winter season that Meet Joe Black came out, the Will Smith movie Enemy of the State came out. I went and saw that, and the first Phantom Menace trailer was playing before that. So I think I remember even turning to whoever the hell it was I went to see it with. I don't know if it was my dad or one of my high school friends. I'm like, sweet, I don't have to go watch Meet Joe Black now.
And like I remember like The Force Awakens. Oh no, that's the other prequel or the other trilogy. So I'll tell that story then. I'm sorry.
We're jumping around in trilogies now.
Sorry.
All right.
Sorry.
So let's move on. We got one more thing that we want to talk about, and that is our either major like or major dislikes with the movies. Darth Pat, we're gonna make sure I'm gonna have you go first, but try and keep it short and sweet for our fans. Okay. Let's get to our point.
5 to 10.
No.
5
Don't make
to
it the
10
never-ending
max.
story, please.
Well, I might as well get another beer. This was almost done
that
anyways.
hurt. That poked him in the eye.
Kidding. Kidding. Just joking. See, I didn't make the eye comment that time. Nope.
It's almost fully healed now. So yeah.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Go ahead, Darth Pat.
All right. So what is this like our biggest
Major like or dislike or both?
One of each.
Well, my major like from the trilogy was I thought all the films looked great. Like they definitely, I think, had a great look to them with the effects. I know some of you guys have said that you don't think that some of them have aged so well. Like I said, I can't really remember the last time I watched any of them to really know.
Mm-hmm.
But like finally getting to really see like Coruscant and stuff was getting it's like the whole planet's one big city. I just thought that was pretty cool, especially after playing like the episode 1 video game. I don't know if any of you guys played that.
Nope.
There was levels you had to go where you were Captain Panaka, and you had to go rescue Padme after she gets kidnapped after you guys land on Coruscant.
Did you say Captain Banaka?
Panaka. She's taking it to the lower levels and shit, and it looks pretty ugly and everything. But I thought they made Coruscant look pretty good. So I love the visual look of the film. And then a dislike, which also kind of builds upon that, is the problem that Lucas insisted on not just writing the screenplays for all 3 movies, which he did not do in the original trilogy, but also directing all 3 movies, which again he had not done on the original trilogy. And that's the most obvious difference when you come right down to it between the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, was that he needed other people to work on it. He needed other voices. He needed other opinions other than his own. And I think he said the reason he ended up directing all 3 movies was because, well, it'll be easier for me to just do it because I know what my vision is of it than try to explain it to somebody else and everything. And it's yeah, I get that. But the problem was, and so many actors have said this, going back to the main 3 actors from the original trilogy, hey, you can write this shit, but you can't say it. He's just not good at writing dialogue. He's not great at directing actors. There's always that joke about his direction involves saying, same thing, only faster. It's what the fuck does that mean? If you're an actor, what the hell does that mean? You're supposed to say your lines faster? You're supposed to be more intense? It's so the whole thing was, yeah. That was a pretty good fast C-3PO impression. I'll give you credit for that. But so he's so caught up with the look of it, which obviously you've got to nail with these kind of movies, especially when you're doing so many visual effects. But it was at the expense of the acting quality, the writing quality, and the overall story quality. So, and I really feel like those are the main reasons why the prequels just are not as embraced.
Yeah, very true. Very true. All right. AJ, go ahead. Dislikes and likes if you got one.
My dislike is the first two movies.
Okay.
And I hate the pod racing stuff. I do not like the pod race. I think it's way too long. I think that's my least favorite thing. If I could pick one scene or part of a movie, other than the terrible acting in Attack of the Clones, I don't like the pod racing at all. I still watch it and I'm like, oh, I have to sit through this part of this movie. You should never. I don't ever want to sit down to a Star Wars movie and get like, oh, I got to sit through this part again. Damn it. So
the funny thing is, that's literally like a 3-minute scene.
No, it's not.
It's definitely longer than 3 minutes.
What I find funny about that is that for so many people I remember saying that was the best part of Phantom Menace, and it's like, yeah, it has a certain amount of excitement and everything, but as somebody who's not a racing fan like me, I found it can be tedious. But the biggest problem when you come right down to it is that it is by far and away really the scene that has the least to do with the overall plot of the entire trilogy. Now, it does obviously play a part into the plot of Phantom Menace, and that's what gets Anakin to be freed. But again, when you think about the entire trilogy, it's really a distraction. So I totally see where you're coming from.
One of my other friends actually pointed out to me that nothing like very super relevant happens in the first movie. He said you could just not have the Phantom Menace and just start at the beginning of Attack of the Clones, and nothing like extremely important really happens in the first movie.
Yeah, very true. What happens that's important is Palpatine becomes Chancellor.
Right, but
Obi-Wan meets Anakin and decides to train him himself, even though he's clearly not ready.
But you still could have started at the beginning of the
right, like you didn't necessarily need to see how Palpatine became Chancellor. Yeah.
So what's a like for you?
I completely lost my train of thought.
I apologize. That is my fault. I interrupted you.
No. I had something and now I can't remember what it was. I knew I wanted to say I didn't like the. I like the third. I like Revenge of the Sith. I like the third movie. It's really good to me. I enjoyed it. There's some plot holes in it, but I really like Revenge of the Sith. Like when I rank movies, the Star Wars movies, Revenge of the Sith ranks close to the top of my list. So I didn't really like the first two, and I really liked Revenge of the Sith. So my major like would be I really liked the third movie of this trilogy. I think the other two movies are shitty, but I did really like Revenge of the Sith. Kind of redeemed the trilogy for me at least a little bit.
Yeah. All right, Theo, likes and dislikes.
It's kind of hard for me because over the years I have made a decision in regards to when I watch Star Wars films and just comic book movie films in general, I take them all with a grain of salt. I see what, isn't working for the movie, and I see what's working for the movie, and I kind of take it for what it is. The trilogies gave us the beginning part that we find out how we lead up to episodes 4, 5, and 6, or at least 4 for the most part, and kind of go from there. Yeah, there's things about the movies that aren't great. There's a lot of parts where I still feel they're relevant. The first 3 were very politically driven, from episode 1 to 3 with the Senate. The Jedi Order really not knowing, like, they don't know their way. Like it seems like they're at a crossroads of, are they supposed to be peacekeepers? Are they supposed to be fighting? How are they supposed to be holding up the Jedi Order? They're kind of in flux with themselves, and just Palpatine, pulling the strings in the background, just manipulating everybody, saying the right thing, probably using his force power too, and at the end of the day to get his way. And playing that dual role where you see him as a senator there, and you see him with his cloak on and stuff, talking to Darth Maul and everybody else, all the other villains in the movies. So I don't really have like a favorite or non-favorite. I just take it with a grain of salt, because pretty much it tells us the beginning of it. It tells us what we need to know, basically, and how things happen from beginning to get to the middle. I like racing, so I like the pod racing. The thing I would say about the pod racing, the only thing that's kind of like foreshadowing that is just foreshadowing Anakin's skills as a pilot. That's like your first time seeing him, the only human to actually race a pod racer. So you're kind of seeing his flying skills in the beginning, the first movie as a little kid. So it's kind of like showing that. I guess you probably could skip the first movie, but I still think there's things relevant in the movie that you kind of should know before you get to movie 2.
I mean, you're right. I'm just saying that the first movie doesn't have a ton of important shit in it. I didn't say that you there is definitely one or two things, but there isn't a whole lot that comes out of that first movie.
Not a whole lot, but there's enough to make it relevant in regards to it. That's my opinion. I don't know. Everything takes with a grain of salt. I didn't hate episode 2. I didn't, jump for joy for episode 2. I think some of the stuff with Padme and Anakin, the little romance part, was just very. It could have been done better.
Corny.
It was just very cheesy.
Yeah,
it was just
corny.
it felt like I was watching a morning soap opera. That's what I felt with very B-rated a morning soap opera. Other than that, that's pretty much it. And I take it with a grain of salt. It gave us what we needed to know and to set up the rest of the series. So that's pretty much how I feel in regards to it.
So for me, I didn't hate them. I didn't love them. I'm kind of in between. There was some good things in all the movies. There was some pretty poor things in all the movies. One of the things I found very interesting is that Padme and Anakin become a love couple. That becomes his love interest. Considering in the first movie, it's hard to tell how old Padme's supposed to be. Is she 14, 15, 16 years old or older? Because Anakin is like a 10-year-old kid. So if she's 14, okay, no problem. 10 years later, he's like 20, she's like 24. Okay, no big deal. But we actually don't know how old Padme is because she doesn't fucking age a bit from one movie to the next. You're like, hey, she's still exactly the same age, right? Yeah, sure. She's still whatever the hell age she is. And Anakin looks like a grown-ass man now. So that's kind of weird, too. So I'm guessing in the first film, she's probably like 14 or 15. Maybe 16. I guess that's what they were going for because she was like the youngest person to be queen. Queen. Thank you, Queen in the in Naboo. So
according to Wikipedia and Phantom Menace, she's supposed to be 14.
Okay. I think they cast the wrong person to play a 14-year-old. She looks a little older than 14. But anyways.
Natalie Portman would have been about 17 when it was filmed. So, yeah. Really?
Yep. Wow. Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's about right. Yeah, she was a teenager.
Wow, she does. I don't know. Some people look like teenagers in their 30s. I don't know. But anyways, no offense to Natalie Portman. But yeah, there's just some weird things in the movies and some really good things, I think the biggest thing that I get away from all three movies is you get backstory, and I really can appreciate that. Even though it's not well done backstory, so to say, at least you get the backstory from where Anakin came from, how he ended up turning evil, and you get to see the progression of Palpatine and how he manipulates, as Darth Pat's mentioned multiple times, how he manipulates every single thing that happens from movie 1 to movie 3, all the way to where he finally gets chucked down the chute by Darth Vader. He manipulates everything. I mean, when he has that silly ass grin on his face when he's talking to Padme as Queen Amidala in the first one, and it's such a fake smile, but he plays it off so well. It's like, yep, here we go. Here comes the manipulation port. He's gonna get her to do exactly what he wants so he can get what he wants. Yep. That is probably the best part of the acting is Palpatine's character, the character of Palpatine. So, like I said, good things, bad things. Best part of it, backstory. And we get to see some different things with the Jedi that we didn't get to see in the original trilogy. So that's cool. All right. Now we move on to...
I was just going to quickly say, like, there were, if you read, like, any of, like, the novelizations of, like, the original trilogy, there was, like, so many allusions to, like, this epic lightsaber duel, between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, which was what made Darth Vader, have to live in the suit and everything. So, it was like, there was always, like my dad read so many of the novelizations, and he would always talk to me about the way they described this, like, epic duel in the past. So the fact that, you were building up to that, I think, was such a huge moment. And that's really what, like, the whole trilogies were leading to in so many, or the prequels were leading to in so many ways.
Yeah.
And you know what? I don't want to leave this scene out because there's a lot of people that watched the prequels and thought this scene was stupid. I don't think it's stupid. But when we finally see Darth Vader and he's put all back together, Anakin Skywalker's put all back together, and you see Darth Vader for the first time, you're like, yes, here comes the badass Darth Vader. There's that part where he yells, he asks about Padme. It's hard to hear, hard to hear because he's got the suit for the first time. He's talking through that breathing apparatus shit that he's got. And then he screams out, no. People hate that because he screams out no, which makes Darth Vader kind of sound like a pansy. But the one thing that you got to take from that scene is the fact that he crushes every single thing in that freaking entire room. Like, everything crushes, like, just down. It's like, and just... Like, so yeah, you can say that scene's dumb because it makes Darth Vader look weak, but if you take out the no, and if you took that out and just watched that scene as he crushes everything because he's totally devastated because now he has lost everything in his world. He's lost his mom. He realized that the Jedi in his mind are evil, and he's lost Padme, the love of his life, and he knew that she was pregnant.
Yeah.
That's a pretty powerful scene, and people take it away because there's a no in there.
It's like the final shred of his humanity escaping in a way, because, and that ties into what, Obi-Wan says to Luke in Jedi when he says, he's more machine now than man. And so that's like the last time that he ever really shows any kind of an emotion other than, anger or hatred, like the typical dark side emotion. So.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to Darth Pat with our stumper question. Dun dun boom. That's my best.
Unfortunately, I don't know if this is going to be a huge stumper. It's something that I kind of came up with in my head kind of quickly when I learned that we didn't have a standby stumper, if you will. And it is actually Star Wars related.
We figured that.
Well, the reason I'm being is that when I was on, went to visit my sister and her family today because it was my niece's 9th birthday. I came up with a really good stumper, at least what I think is a really good stumper that's wrestling related. But why we're going to ask a wrestling related stumper on a Star Wars show?
You can save that one for next week.
Yes, some point in the future. So, all right. So here is the stumper. This is Star Wars related. Okay. So, Ewan McGregor, obviously, very famously, played Obi-Wan Kenobi in the prequel trilogy.
Yes.
Ewan McGregor has an uncle who appeared in the original trilogy.
Oh, shit.
Can you name either the real name of his uncle, or the character he played?
Oh, my.
I remember hearing about this.
Yeah. I'm bowing out because honestly, I had no idea about this. No idea that he had an uncle that played in the original trilogy. So I would have no idea.
Is it somebody that's relevant, or is it just some jobber type person?
He's relevant.
Okay.
He's relevant.
Yeah, that's tough. You can't go with, does he look like Ewan McGregor?
Is it an Empire Strikes Back?
What's that?
Is it an Empire Strikes Back?
He is in Empire Strikes Back.
Is he one of the general dudes on Planet Hoth?
No.
This is a very good stumper question there, Darth Pat. Very good. Wow. So Empire Strikes Back.
I'm going to say, I don't know the character's name, the guy on Cloud City that has the electronic thing on his head.
No, he was not Lobot.
Okay.
Oh, Lobot.
That's my guess.
Yeah, like I said, I bow out. I have no idea because I didn't even know that his uncle was in a movie. So
Do you have any final guesses there, Theo?
the clock is ticking.
Yeah, I see it.
Feelings.
I see it on my.
Are you cheating?
I said I see the time on my screen. My hands are right here. I'm not typing anything.
Yeah, that's crazy.
No, I don't want to guess anymore.
All right. Well, his uncle's name is Dennis Lawson, and not only did he appear in The Empire Strikes Back, he also appeared in A New Hope, and Return of the Jedi, and
Wedge.
The Rise of Skywalker. Yes, indeed, he
Wedge.
was Wedge Antilles.
Okay.
I was gonna say
Really?
a member of the team.
Yeah.
The Red D team.
Interesting.
So he did have, what was basically an important role then. Because
Yeah, he certainly did.
For one thing, he's one of the precious few characters who's in all three movies of the original trilogy. And, his role kind of, increases in importance over time because obviously he's Red Leader by Time of the Jedi. And, it's him and Lando that, take out the Death Star and everything at the end. So yeah. I remember when I first read that, I'm like, well, it's a small world. But yeah, so I was actually, I'll just say this real quickly to kind of wrap this up. When I heard that he was coming back to make an appearance in Rise of Skywalker, I was really excited about that because I was like, why wasn't he really like around for the first two sequels anyway? And then when I saw just how very, very little he was actually ended up being on screen in Rise of Skywalker, I was like, well, shit, I can't believe he even bothered because he's on screen for about a total of 5 seconds. So it was almost not worth it, but hey, it was still kind of cool to see that he was still around and that he had survived all those years. So
Yeah, because he would have been as old as dirt.
well,
because let's be honest, Lando did not look so good in the Rise of the Skywalker. He was looking a little aged.
Okay, well, Dennis Lawson is now 72 years old, in real life. So, but Billy D. Williams, he's in his 80s.
Yeah.
And I do know that he has to use a cane to walk now. So it's like, yeah,
Oh,
he's up there. He was older than any of the other main characters from the original trilogy, including Harrison Ford. So
it's all that Colt 45 he was drinking.
Good shit.
Hey, it goes down smooth every time.
Good shit back in the day.
Oh yes, back in the day. Now it's funny because the only time I see Colt 45 is in giant ass 40s.
So true.
I do remember seeing those commercials when they were new, so that wouldn't have to make all of us old enough to have seen them. So
right.
Yeah.
All right.
I remember them.
So this does bring us to the end of our show, which means that it is time for Mount Rushmore. Yes, it is time for Mount Rushmore. And as I mentioned a couple times, we are doing the Mount Rushmore based on the prequels. And just like our Mount Rushmore for the previous Star Wars podcast that we did with the original trilogy, we are going to go with our favorite character from the original, well, not from She's a Wiz, from the prequels. Jeez, I'm getting mixed up now. We're going with our favorite character from the prequels to be on Mount Rushmore. So we kind of all know who AJ's is. So AJ, why don't you just go ahead?
Actually, you don't.
Oh, I don't. Oh,
no.
I'm going to be surprised. All right, cool. Well, then definitely you've got to go first then, because if you're going to surprise me, I want to be surprised right off the bat. So go ahead, take it away.
I'm going with Palpatine. So
wow. That is definitely
watching it. Well, I've had some discussions, with other people about this, and I got to that through that. I mean, he's the ultimate villain, really, in those three movies, and I tend to like the villains. Mm-hmm. So I'm going with him because it was fun to watch him manipulate everybody. He was the puppet master, and I enjoyed watching him fuck with everybody. So
nice.
I changed my mind on that one. So I thought about it a little bit more. I wanted to pick somebody that was in more than one movie.
Nice. So Palpatine.
So all Palpatine is my pick.
All right. Going to Darth Pat. Who is on Mount Rushmore this week for you? Force lightning through the screen.
We didn't talk about this ahead of time like we usually do.
At him because he just stole my pick, the bastard.
Shall we skip over you and go to Theo then?
No, because I mean, like, you know,
I had multiple picks too. I had more than one if I had to go to another one.
Yeah, we said, like, you know, our 3 favorite characters or whatever, and I said Palpatine, Obi-Wan, and Yoda. And so, to be kind of unoriginal, since I picked him when we talked about the original trilogy, just stick with Yoda.
Oh, okay.
Alrighty then.
All right, sticking with Yoda. All right.
Green dude.
So, Theo, you want to end it, or you want me to end it? Or don't it matter?
You can end it. I'll go next.
All right. So, go ahead, Theo.
Probably just because he was different. I'm going with General Grievous.
Nice.
Yeah. He was a different type of bad guy. The other ones were kind of, you know, he wasn't like a Sith per se. He was just a robotic freak that had a bunch of arms that can use lightsabers, but he was very skilled. I thought it was different and I liked it. That's pretty simple for me with this one. Nothing crazy.
Yeah, no, that is definitely different. I was not expecting that one either. All right, so I get to end it with my favorite character from all 3 movies, and I would have to say, God, geez, who would be my favorite character? I'm gonna say Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan was probably my favorite character from all 3 movies because out of all the characters, I felt like his actually had a very good progression. And even though the movies were not, as we've discussed, the movies were not directed well, the dialogue wasn't great, I felt like his was actually probably one of the best dialogues and character progression throughout all 3 movies. So to see him kind of grow into kind of what we see in New Hope was pretty cool. And, to see that his heart was broken when Anakin turns finally to the dark side and he's like, your mind is twisted, and he's got your mind twisted when he says that line when they're fighting a Mustafar and stuff like that, and tells him I loved you like a brother, and things like that. So pretty cool as far as character growth and stuff like that.
And let's be honest, we don't want to see that Obi-Wan Disney Plus series that was being made.
Ewan McGregor was the right person to play the part too. They got it right with him. They some of the other ones maybe not. He was my second choice.
Yeah,
Jeremy. So like he was really good. He was consistently good in all 3 of them. It's hard to pick somebody else other than Palpatine, who was like consistently good, well acted in those movies.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that is our Mount Rushmore. Just to recap, our Mount Rushmore is Palpatine, Yoda, General Grievous, and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Once again, we always love doing this. It does bring us to the end of our show, though, so we are going to be signing off, but we want to thank each and every person that watches us on YouTube, listens on either iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher Radio, wherever you're picking this podcast up. We really do appreciate you listening in and catching our wacky-ass stories, some of the goofy stuff that we say, us picking on each other pretty much every episode to some degree, because like we always say, we really do this for fun, for each other, for you guys, to entertain you guys, because it's entertaining for us. It's essentially for us, it's a big BS session, a BS session. Words elude me sometimes, I must say. So if anything, at least you get to make fun of me throughout an entire podcast as I talk. So yeah,
that's why
Thank you, Pat.
We're not making him spell. That could be even more entertaining.
Yes, I could be the local speak and spell every word wrong for you. That would be awesome.
Jeremy, your word is burrito.
We'll get to the backstory on that word one day on a future podcast. Anyways, so
what you call tease.
So once again, thank you guys for tuning in and watching. We will be back again next week with a brand new episode, which is going to be another wrestling podcast, but we are going to be talking about wrestling factions. So that's going to be another interesting one, another fun one for us, because just like Star Wars, we love wrestling. So we'll catch you then. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out And we'll see you next episode.